This is not the first, but the second Democrat in Florida in their Congress that has switched to the Republican Party. And I'm going to talk about why she switched over and what it means for Republicans over the next 4 years, not just in Florida, but around the United States. Here is the reason why Congresswoman Hillary Castle switched parties, and this is from her own statement. I'm just going to read this middle paragraph. You can pause it right now and read the whole thing if you want to, but this is what it says in the middle, if you're just listening. As a mother, I want to help build a world where our children are judged on their character and their actions, not on their labels. As a proud Jewish woman, I've been increasingly troubled by the Democrat Party's failure to unequivocally support Israel and its willingness to tolerate extreme progressive voices that justify or condone acts of terrorism. I'm constantly troubled by the inability of the current Democrat Party to relate to everyday Floridians. I can no longer remain in a party that doesn't represent my values. So in other words, Democrats have gone completely crazy and have changed all their values over the last few decades. That's completely true. The reckoning has arrived. We've talked about it for a long time. Democrats are pushing too far. They're doing too much craziness. The reckoning's coming. Guys, the reckoning's here. And we knew that when the election came, but when you're seeing actual Democrat leaders, some of what I would consider the kind of sub-elites, like this lady's in the Florida House. I'm not saying that she's this high up elite in the Democrat Party, but she is a leader to some degree. She's not just some random Democrat. And when you're even seeing the sub-elites change, I think that means that there's a reckoning, because she's realizing the Democrat Party's moved from her, and she's realizing she no longer wants to be attached to them because it looks bad. From her own statement, she's saying she doesn't want to be attached to a group of people that hates Jews and supports crazy people. You have top Democrats championing students that are cheering for Hamas and literally going out on campus and using their slogans. When that happens, whether you're a Jew or not, it's just awful. Like, why would you want to be a part of that? And I think that's what Hillary Castle is saying right here. So her reasons for leaving are very clear. They make perfect sense. I don't think there's a lot of question why, but there's another aspect to all of this that I've seen very, very few people talking about, and it's that this is the second switch in Florida. And that's a big deal. Like, someone switching parties. Again, if it's a random person switching parties, no one cares. But this is someone in the Florida Congress right now that makes decisions. She just won an election in the Democrat Party in Florida, and she's just switched. That's a significant thing. And what you have to ask yourself, even though I think it's a reckoning, you have to ask yourself, why is there a reckoning happening in Florida and this isn't happening in other states? And what I think it is I think it is the DeSantis effect. DeSantis leads the way for conservatives every single time. Since he's been in leadership, I mean, in Congress, he certainly was a leader, but especially as the Florida governor, you'll remember in 2022, for example, we were supposed to have this big red wave. It was supposed to be this massive thing, and it didn't happen. The only place it did happen, though, was Florida. And then in 2024, it still happened in Florida, and it happened even bigger. Frankly, it was one of the biggest shocks of the night, in my opinion. Obviously, a lot of people weren't expecting every swing state to go towards Trump. That was certainly a shock, and especially in some of the massive numbers. Like, I thought the margins would be a lot smaller, especially in those blue wall states. But in any case, what shocked me most of all was Florida just continued to move to the right. And what we saw was the country followed Florida from 2022. They figured it out 2 years later. And I predict that the same thing is going to happen here. Florida is seeing a couple of switchovers right now. I think they're going to see even a couple more. But I think in 2 to 3 years, you're going to see other very conservative states making similar switches. Frankly, maybe even some not solid red states. Some of these swing states, I think you might even see switchovers. And the reason why is because, as I've been talking about, we cannot let people like DeSantis fall out of politics. When you have someone who leads like DeSantis leads in two ways. The first way is that he's just good at campaigning. He's good at changing minds. But the other way, and this is far more important in my opinion, is that DeSantis does not get enough credit in his ability to shift people towards MAGA, because he takes MAGA and he governs with it better than pretty much everyone. Like, he essentially just took the MAGA agenda, he took it into Florida, and he exploded it. And what happened was people saw that, they realized how much they liked it, they moved there. And then again, you see a ripple effect across the country a couple years later, realizing, yeah, Florida is what we want our state to look like. And so then in 2024, they vote for Donald Trump. As a result of all of that, people are moving away from the left. They're moving more towards the right. But honestly, in a more basic way, they're moving away from the establishment and they're moving towards populists, which is the Republican Party right now. And this is the blueprint that America wants. This is what they want, and DeSantis perfectly embodies it. He's a good populist. He talks about immigration. All of that is good, and he talks about it, and it's good to talk about it. But at the end of the day, you have to govern like it. And those are two separate things. And because DeSantis does it, he shows people how much they love it. And then people like Hillary Castle, they can't stay a Democrat because they look at their constituents and they think, well, they don't even want the Democrat Party agenda. And so again, for that reason, DeSantis, when he gets out of the governorship in 2026, he cannot be irrelevant anymore. DeSantis knows how to govern. He knows how to get people on his side. There's only basically two places that DeSantis can go into, and he must be in either of those two places, and it's that he either needs to lead the Republican Party or he needs to be president of the United States. And the reason why, again, is because Florida has led the way of MAGA. Not to take anything away from Trump. Trump certainly started MAGA, but DeSantis executes MAGA better than Donald Trump. And if you need evidence of that, look at Florida over the last 8 years and look at the United States during the 4 years of Donald Trump. Which one looks more like the MAGA base? I promise you it's Florida every single time, especially if you look at the COVID year. Again, that's not to take anything away from Donald Trump. I'm just simply saying I think DeSantis even out-MAGAs Trump when it comes to actually executing upon it. For that reason, DeSantis has got to be the next president of the United States. And if he is, and if he continues to stay relevant in politics, what you're going to see is more Hillary Castles. Well, guys, I've talked about it before, but I recently came out with my new book, A New Cult. It's on the bookshelf over there. Right now, it's only $9.99 on Amazon. The link is in the description below. I know you'll enjoy reading it. The new cult, spoiler alert, is the progressive movement. I talk about the similarities between modern cults and the progressive movement and how they're basically just the same. Really enjoyed writing it. I know you will enjoy reading it as well, so go check it out today. Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you haven't already, go down below, like the video, subscribe to my channel, and watch another video.